A disagreement about whether or not it's true. What steps can we take to try to find out whether or not it's true? Do you care whether or not it's true?
Well, yeah.
Okay, so how do we go about determining whether or not this is true? Because we're in a disagreement about a fundamental fact about existence, right? And we care whether or not it's true. So what steps do we take to figure out whether or not it's true?
Like, in the Bible it says that God created everything.
Sure, and Captain Kirk asked God why he needed a spaceship. You can't go to the Bible and say what the Bible says, because then the next question is, why do you believe the Bible to be true? If your source of truth is the Bible, you've already lost.
And everything does exist, so there has to be a cause. And the Bible says that God created the earth, and God created everything.
Right, and other religions make other claims about it. So how do we go about finding out which one of those, if any, are true?
Well, that's where faith comes in.
No. Because if you care about whether or not something's true, faith has no place. Because your faith is indistinguishable from the faith of people who disagree with you. It's not a path to truth. Faith is accepting something. Faith is gullibility. Faith is the reason, the excuse people give for believing something when they don't have a good reason. I'm talking about how do we go about finding a good reason. And if your only answer is to, well, the Bible says so, or, well, you just have to have faith, then you've demonstrated that you are not actually concerned about whether or not it's true.
Well, of course I'm concerned it's true.
Then why don't you take the steps that would reliably lead you to discern whether or not it's true?
And what are those steps,
Why are you giving up and saying, oh, you just got to take it on faith? That's not a path to truth. I could take it on faith that after I die, I'm going to be spirited away by leprechauns to the tree in my backyard. I can take that on faith, and now that claim is exactly as viable as yours, if not more.
There is a tree, after all.
I have a tree. I'm talking about paths to truth, and you're making appeals to faith. And that's not a path to truth. Faith is a give-up. It's the point at which you stop seeking truth and just say, I can't figure out how to get any farther, so I'm just going to go ahead and accept this answer because it feels right or because I don't want to keep looking. It's not a path to truth. And it's the thing that I would encourage people to do is to actually go around and think about how you find out whether or not something's true in every other aspect. Because I guarantee you that you don't use faith for finding truth outside of your religious claims.
Well, but if we were absolutely certain that God existed, then there would be no room for having faith.
Okay,
it would be pointless.
So what?
First of all, we don't need to be absolutely certain. We can be reasonably certain. But second of all, okay, so there's no room for faith. I'm fine with that. Why would anybody want to make room for faith? Why would you think faith is a good thing?
Well, because if you don't have faith in something, how can you trust it?
No. I can have trust in things, and I can have confidence in things based on evidence. Based on, I have reasonable expectations about what's going to happen because there's a past record that has provided evidence for things. If I drop this pen, I don't have to have faith that it's going to fall down and hit the table. Depending on how you structure, first of all, it's not a logical argument, but depending on how you structure it into a logical argument, there could be any one of a dozen fallacies that get you from I exist, therefore God. And they're all flawed. If they weren't, it would be a Nobel frickin' prize.
So we've looked at
then how do you explain how they exist if there is no creator? Then how do things exist, and how are things so complex?
First of all, complexity has absolutely nothing to do with it. And second of all, assume that we have no answer, right?
Okay.
Then the answer is I don't know. The answer doesn't become I can't think of anything better, therefore a God did it. That is called the argument. That is called the argument.
Years old.
What's that?
If we have a holy book that's 4,000 years old that says that there is a God who created things,
no,
then
I'm sorry. The age of your claims, neither the age of your claims nor the number of people who believe them nor the strength of their convictions has any bearing at all on whether or not those claims are likely to be true. And there are claims that are older than the book that you're pointing to, by the way, and you disregard those. Matter of fact, you disregard every other claim by every other religion, and you have absolutely no grounds for doing so. But you make a special case for the religion that you believe, And you only want to justify it by appealing to faith. That's not somebody who's interested in whether or not something's true. You're making a whole bunch of assumptions that are all based on your preconceptions about your own religion. You are poisoning the well. You are looking at all of the evidence and tossing out anything that doesn't already fit with what you already believe.
I'm not tossing out any evidence.
Sorry, what?
I'm not tossing out any evidence.
Yes, you are.
What am I tossing out?
You're tossing out all of the other claims that don't match what you already believe. And you have no basis. Every other religion?
But they don't talk about the creator. They just talk about gods that have always existed and that live in this realm.
No, they don't. You are grossly ignorant on what other religions claim, and you're also grossly ignorant on how to go about processing claims to figure out they're true. And you've got what you believe, and now you're looking for anything that fits what you already believe. That's not a path to truth. You do not care whether or not it's true. And if you do, I'd recommend that you start at wiki.ironchariots.org and the arguments for the existence of God, and actually go out and get some books from what other great thinkers have had to say on this subject. Because the kind of kindergarten, simplistic, I exist, therefore God, doesn't get anywhere. I mean, do you really think you could live in a world where this wouldn't be like Nobel Prize and front page news and everybody knew it if there was a logical argument for the existence of God?
Well,
would you have for 1 second said you have to take it on faith if there was a valid and sound logical argument for the existence of God? Of course not. And
that's kind of conceding the argument.
Sorry,
right?
But that is the concession. As soon as you make the Bible says so or I'm taking it on faith, you have lost, and you've demonstrated that you're not in any way concerned about truth. And on that note, I got to go on to other callers, but thanks.